Hi, it's Mrs. White here, and we're going to be doing section 3.2 and 3.3 today because they talk about the same content. So as you see, 3.2 are properties of parallel lines. So remember, parallel means they do not intersect, okay? I told you last lesson that you definitely need to know your angle pairs because we're going to be using them, and something happens with their measures now that when the lines are parallel, we actually measure in angle degrees. So let's take a look at this chart that explains the two different things that can happen. So first off, it's underlined. It says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal. They have to be parallel for these things to happen. We know that the following below are supplementary. So remember, supplementary means they add up to equal 180 degrees. So the two that are 180 or supplementary are consecutive interior angles. So remember, if they're parallel like this, consecutive interiors would be something like that. And I put two different, a circle and a box, because we know they add up to equal 180, they are not congruent. Likewise, same side exterior angles when they're parallel, if I have lines like this, okay, same side exterior would add up to equal 180 degrees. Now, the other three that we've talked about are corresponding alternate interior and alternate exterior. But if you look here, we know they're going to be congruent or equal in measure. So corresponding angles, when lines are parallel, they're going to be exactly the same, just on a different line. Alternate interior angles, very similarly, okay, parallel lines, then we have alternate interior will be the exact same. And finally, alternate exterior angles, when lines are parallel, alternate exterior will be equal. So I would just draw out this chart and make sure you memorize it and know which ones are 180 and which ones are congruent. So let's go ahead and throw some numbers into it. It says explain example 1 says the measure of the three of the numbered angles is 125. Identify those angles. So remember, the equal ones are going to be the corresponding, the alternate interior, and alternate exterior. So let's take a look to see which one is corresponding to angle 125. Corresponding means that it's in the same spot but a different line. So if we move 125 down, it should end up being corresponding to angle 7. So that is one that will be congruent. It says identify the angles and explain your reasoning. My explanation is simply that they're corresponding angles, so 7 is the same. Let's take a look and figure out the alternate interior one. So in between the two parallel lines will be either 4, 5, or 6. And remember, it has to go on the opposite side of the transversal. So angle 5 will also be 125 because they're alternate interior. Okay? Well, we don't have an alternate exterior one with the 125 that I circled, but we also know that 125 and angle 1 are what type of angles? Vertical angles. So no, they're not alternate exterior, but vertical angles leaves me with 125. So those are the three. I'm sorry, angle 1 should be listed there instead of 125. Vertical angle is angle 1. So 1, 5, and 7 are the ones that are equal. Now, let's see if we can figure out what 2, 4, 6, and 8 are. What I would think of and do and remember is that let's take a look at these two angles here. They're next to each other on a straight line. So these two, angle 2 and 125, are a linear pair. So remember, a linear pair is 180. So if I take 180 minus 125, I will go ahead and get 55 as my answer. So angle 2 is 55. Angle 4 is going to be 55 because of vertical. Angle 6 will be 55 because of alternate interior. And then angle 8 will be vertical. So now we have every single angle measure, and all we did was start with 125. All right, so let's go ahead and throw some variables in and do some algebraic work. When we're asked with questions to solve for x, what I always ask you to do first is to think, all right, what type of angle pairs are these? Well, this angle pair, the 113 and the 3x minus 4, are alternate exterior angles. So what do we remember about alternate exterior angles? They are congruent when lines are parallel. So if they're congruent, our equation that we're going to set up is 113 equals 3x minus 4. So go ahead and solve that. Hopefully you have gotten the answer to be x is equal to 39. Okay? Moving on, let's go ahead and look at example 3. Now, looking at these two angles, 3x minus 7 and x plus 5, what type of angle pair are they? Are they alternate exterior? No, because this is actually on the inside and this is on the outside. So they're not any of the alternating interior-exterior ones. Are they corresponding? Are they in the same spot, different line? No, because x plus 5 would end up here. So what I always tell you guys to do is move it up corresponding. Okay, we can also list x plus 5 there. And what do you know about the relationship of x plus 5 and 3x minus 7 now? They're a linear pair, so you can go ahead and set up your equation. 3x minus 7 plus x plus 5 should equal 180 because they're a linear pair. So go ahead and solve that. I'll just quickly go through the work. 4x minus 2 equals 180. 4x equals 182. And then finally, x will equal 45.2. Okay? And it just says find the value of x. Now, remember, if they asked you to find an actual angle, just plug it back in. 45, whoops, why did I write it to you there? It's 45.5. Okay, so 45.5, okay, plus the 5 would give you that angle, and then you could also subtract from 180 to find the 3x minus 7. All right, so these next two I'd like you to pause and go ahead and do on your own, and then check. It just says find the value of x in the following pictures. All right, so let's see if you did it correctly. I also put what type of angles they are. So the first ones are corresponding, so you should have set them equal because they're congruent. And the second pair are same side interior, so they should be added up and set equal to 180. All right, so that's all of section 3.2. 3.3 talks about proving lines are parallel. So 3.2 told me, all right, if they are parallel, then this happens. Well, remember, the converse is just flipping them, okay? Okay, so we're going to flip it and say, all right, well, if we have alternate interior angles, are they going to be parallel? All right, so let's take a look. Go ahead and pause and make sure you can copy all these down, and we'll walk through these 6 together. It says which ones are parallel and why. So if you're given 54 and 54, taking a look at the locations, those should be alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles are congruent, so 54 is equal to 54, so then yes, these are parallel, and the reasoning why is because alternate exterior are congruent, okay? Going down below, 144 and 36, these are same side interior angles, and we know they should equal 180. So does 144 plus 36 equal 180? Yes. Okay, since they equal 180, then they are parallel. All right, moving on, 102 and 102, these are vertical angles. Vertical angles are always equal or congruent, but we're talking about parallel here. Was vertical angles on our chart in the beginning of this section that we said supplementary and congruent? No, because vertical does not imply parallel. We don't know anything else about this line that's down here. Okay? We don't know if it's 102 or 102. Vertical doesn't mean that they are going to be parallel, and the other one, don't be fooled, is a linear pair. Okay? That also won't show parallel. It's just the 5 that I put in the chart in the very beginning. So no, these lines might be, but we can't determine if these are parallel. Next one, down below, 95 and 95 are corresponding angles, and corresponding should be congruent, so then yes, these are parallel. Moving on to the last two, these are alternate interior angles, which should be congruent, so then yes, these are also parallel. And last one, same side interior should be 180. 110 plus 110 is not 180, so no, these are not parallel. Okay? Last slide for the day. Go ahead and pause, and I want you guys to solve for x. Make sure you're either setting them equal or 180. Those are your only 2 options, and then let's check over these answers. Here we go. So there's all the work. I've also put what type of angle pair there are there so that you can just, keep refreshing and remembering which ones are which. So make sure you have all these. You can do the algebra work. And if you guys have any questions with any of these 2 sections we did today, please come into class tomorrow and we can discuss as a group.